Hello, and welcome to the Why We See Movies podcast. I'm your host, Ron.The. Joining me, as always, we've got Paul.
Why, hello.
And Ivan.
What's up?
Today, we're going to be reviewing the latest Mission Impossible film, Fallout, and Wes Anderson's film, Isle of Dogs. Later on, we'll do our Rant and Rave segment, where we each divulge what we've been watching lately. But first, let's see what's going on inside the entertainment world with...
You on the mark!
Hey, guys.
Hey. Hi.
Long time no see again.
Yeah. Life's been busy.
Yeah, it is. Our monthly get-together.
Yeah.
Okay, first news. Just a follow-up from news from last time regarding the James Gunn situation.
Mm-hmm.
Disney has announced that he will not be rehired for the film, despite a massive petition to get him rehired, and most of the cast signing a letter. Did you see that?
Yeah.
They all got together and were very vocal opponents of what happened, especially Dave Bautista.
Yep.
Who actually said he might be done with Marvel because of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to respect people that are willing. I mean, Dave Bautista is kind of a minor actor that pops up here or there, and he's good in what he appears in, but it's not like he's like a A-type guy. Not. So, you know, him, of all people, taking the stance is kind of like, ooh, that's pretty bold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's. I think he's taking it quite personally to the same angle that I am, with the fact that a lot of this stems, and I didn't really know this last time we brought it up, but James Gunn was such a vocal Trump critic.
Yeah.
And that most of this stuff resurfaced because of this alt-right guy brought all this up. It's kind of a smear campaign, really.
Absolutely.
And if this is the new thing where anyone who says anything bad about the president is going to have a hit team come after them in their past to dig up anything that they've ever said, and they could be fired for it, it's not a good precedent for Disney to set.
But honestly, that's something that's actually has been happening since the beginning. Anytime anybody criticizes them, people go after them. Even Trump himself goes after those people, right?
In the political arena, but he's just a movie director.
There's
using
no
his First Amendment, and
there's no bounds to how petty Trump is. So we should be careful because we could be a target.
Trump for sure, but it is disappointing that Disney isn't willing to, I don't know if you want to say save face, but kind of back down a little bit. And from what I was reading, I think today they're still committed to utilizing his script, or at least portions of it. How much truth there is to that, I don't know. For somebody who's linked so much with these characters, like, because you think of all the other Marvel properties that have been developed into movies, I would say out of everybody, Guardians is the one that is more in tune to the actual director. It's his tone, his setting. So it'll be interesting to see who they get to pick up.
In the whole MCU, he's had this tiny little corner of the galaxy, literally, to play with and away from everybody else. And you're right, it's his baby. One thing I was surprised, though, that I didn't know last time was that Kevin Feige and Marvel weren't even told about his firing.
Oh,
they
really?
were informed of it beforehand.
Ooh.
So that's why that they had gone through this last-ditch meeting.
Yeah.
Marvel, and I guess Kevin Feige had pleaded their case. So this isn't Marvel that wants this either. This is all coming from Bob Iger, who's the chairman of Disney.
It makes you wonder what the straw that broke the camel's back is if you've got everybody, like major players that want him reinstated and they're not willing to budge. Like, is it just public opinion? What is it?
I think they just drew a line in the sand that we're not going to tolerate anyone who says anything about certain issues.
Mm-hmm.
And he fell into that category regardless of his situation or not.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how much this affects Guardians. Because, I mean, people like us that are plugged into it, we're going to know. And to be honest with you, depending on who they get to replace him, might really diminish my interest in the property. I mean, I'll see it, might not give me great hope for it, but the general public, will they even notice?
It's one of those, saying things like out of jokes and stupidity is one thing. Like saying an opinion and you absolutely mean it is one thing, but making a stupid joke where you're just trying to get a rise out of people. But then why is Kevin Hart still employed? Why is any comedian ever still have a job?
Well, that's the thing. I think comedians are maybe allowed a certain leeway that other people in the entertainment business aren't. I've always said context is everything.
Mm-hmm.
True. But it's one of those things. So it's what if a group decides to get together, or we're going to attack this one person, that these companies are going to be like, okay, you're fired. Fire every single person that works in Hollywood.
I'm just worried about a time where people with any sort of past where they might have said anything that could be held against them and are critical of the president are going to stop saying what they're saying because they're worried about being the victim of a hit job like this. And that would be very sad.
And is exactly what is the most disheartening, is it's not like this is something that nobody knew. As you said the last time, this is something he's already apologized for. They knew this before he even directed the first Guardians movie. This is not new material. It's just resurfaced and now it's been weaponized against him. And
exactly.
That's awful. awful.
It's as close to McCarthyism and a new blacklist as I hope they ever get. Yeah, scary times.
Yep.
Okay, next news. Some other big changes coming to the entertainment industry. Some bombshell announcements. The first one, do you guys know what the Paramount Consent Decrees of 1948 are?
I can not say that I do.
Basically, at the time when the movie business was booming, and at that time, theaters not only produced and distributed films, but they owned movie theaters. So Fox had their own chain of movie theaters, Paramount had their chain. Basically, because of the monopoly, it was broken up, and they said, you can't do that anymore. From now on, it has to be independent distributors. Well, that ruling might change. It's been 70 years, and the movie business has changed dramatically since then, which would mean Disney could now own, if this ruling gets overturned, Disney could own a whole string of theaters around the country that only show Disney movies or Disney-related properties.
And box everybody out.
There's good and bad to the situation. What do you guys think of that?
You know, if they go out of their way and buy every Cineplex theater or every Landmark theater in Calgary, at that point, what do you have left?
I would imagine that they'd be designing and building new theaters.
You don't think they would just buy existing ones?
I'm not sure. I think that would be part of the reason that you'd want to go to a new theater chain is the Disney theater, I'm sure, would be a step above other people's, just because they're the biggest studio in the world right now.
Yeah, well, it depends on where they put it, I guess. To me, it just kind of like what they did with the whole Star Wars thing, right? Where they told every theater, if you want to show our movie, well, Star Wars has to be in your biggest screens. It has to be in the theater this many times. You can't put another movie in. We get bigger cut of the pay. It just seems kind of crappy practice.
It does, but maybe, sorry to cut you up, but
no, that's fine.
Now that you said that, that made me think, because I was trying to think, will that mean that it's harder to see some of these movies that we just have had a tough time, they've had limited release or whatever? Well, if Disney's got your Star Wars, your MCU and whatever, these other theaters have to put something on the screen.
Exactly. Good point.
So then will that open the door for some of these movies that we've had a harder time finding?
Not only that, but each studio could set their own prices.
Yeah, that's true.
You could be paying different prices at different theaters. Also, because Disney, right now, every studio splits 50-50 down the line with the theater chains. That wouldn't exist anymore. They'd be getting 100% of the profits. So skyrocketing prices on concessions would drop. You wouldn't be paying $7 for popcorn anymore.
Well, you say that they could just be like, you're used to it. They'll just keep it at that price.
Probably. Yeah. But that's not where they'd be looking to get their money anymore. It'd be all ticket sales now. So lots of things would change.
Change the landscape for sure.
That may not also be a good thing. Like you said, that some of these lower theaters, like you're assuming they're going to build their own theaters so they can over old ones. It could mean like people would just go to the Disney theaters. Like even though these harder to find movies may now be able to go into some of these other theaters, doesn't mean people are going to go and watch them. I'm going to go see the big ones, and then all this other stuff I'll catch later. So
I just think of some things like when we were trying to see Shape of Water, and it was really restrictive as far as finding any reasonable showing. Or back when Lost City of Zed, we talked about it on this podcast about how difficult it was, and that's the only reason I didn't see it in the theaters. I couldn't find a showing. So this has the potential to change that. I guess we got to wait and see how it shakes out, but that's really interesting.
You're right, Paul. It'd be a brand new landscape. We just have to get used to it. Other big changes that were happening is for the Oscar ceremony. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but per ABC's wishes, the Academy is set to make some big changes for the telecast, including what would be known as a Best Popular Film category. Because obviously they've had problems. The last Oscar show, I think, was the least viewed in history, and their ratings are only dropping. It's still one of the highest rated shows of the year, but they're trying to make it more relevant. Do you guys think that would work?
Okay, Ivan, out of everybody included on this podcast, you're the one that does not watch an award show. Having popular movies included in that, would that even move the needle for you to want to watch it?
No, not at all. Just everything that I've heard about the Oscars, to me, it's like, to me, an Oscar doesn't really mean a whole lot. You know that.
It means a lot to the person who wins it.
Yeah, but they also campaign for it. Movie studios set aside money to send these guys out to, like, take these committee members out on parties and suck up to them. In the past, committee members have said that they've voted for a movie to win the best Oscar just because they felt that they had to, but they've never even seen it.
I would say most of the Academy members take the awards seriously.
Yeah. To me, it's just like a very pretentious kind of award show. Like, if I ever watch one, I don't mind the MTV one because at least the celebrities are kind of goof around and have fun.
That's why I watch the Oscars, because it's serious. It's a serious telecast for serious film lovers. People who are interested in the history and body of film.
No, but once again, for me, it's like the movies. I love the Batman series, and to me, it seems like the only reason that movie got an award was because Heath Ledger died, and not even considered. Now it's like the popular movie category was dead, but then you're like, okay, you're popular, so here's a token award, because Transformers, the one that made well over $1 billion, that would have won an Oscar because it was the most popular movie. It made the most money. So then does that award mean anything? Because it's fucking Transformers.
Okay. Good speech.
You would have been played off by now.
They haven't announced how it's going to work yet either. So I don't know if this is going to work either. I'm not a big fan of this, but I would imagine you're right. It's probably going to be, if they're saying most popular, how do you even quantify that except for looking at box office receipts? Yeah. So are they going to pick the top 5 box office movies of the year and then the Academy votes on that, and hopefully one of the 5 is considered artistic?
Well, and that's the thing is, I was trying to think, like, I understand we've got an animated movie section now, which wasn't before. Okay, well, that's fine. I understand that because it is very much its own kind of thing. You know, sometimes an animated movie can be one of the best pictures you've seen in a year. Just because a movie is popular, number one, doesn't make it good, but it also doesn't mean it's bad. And
exactly.
So if it's included in this popular film category or whatever they're calling it, can it not be included in Best Picture? Could it win both?
Titanic was the #1 movie of all time, and it won Best Picture. So would that movie now be split into 2 different categories?
Yeah.
Not be considered an artistic film? Or would the studio just, they always say for your consideration for the award, so would they submit it as just one of these popular films? Because they don't think it's artistic enough to make it to the artistic top 5?
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do all this.
Or do they look at it like, well, because I guess one of the criticisms in the Oscars, which is one of the reasons they expanded the Best Picture categories, people will say, well, these are just 5 movies I've never seen. So the Academy Awards are, okay, well then here's 5 that you have. Mm-hmm. To me, it just smacks of like a publicity stunt, and hopefully the execution is better than what I can think of that it would be. And I get it. If the ratings are low, they're scrounging to get people interested in watching. I don't know. It just seems like a cheap gimmick to me.
Yeah, and the one difference is not going to get people like me that don't care to tune in. It's just, to me, it always seems like every year they seem to put out movies where as soon as you hear cast, director, story, like there's the Oscar bait. You just see it coming.
I don't know. I don't think The Shape of Water was, anybody would have said there.
Yes, every so often they do have those surprises, but a lot of times it's also you see movies coming a mile away, right? But to me, it's a stuffy show. I don't care about watching for 4 hours about what celebrities wear and what clothes
I'm not into
the
fashion either, but it is the only real award show that counts because it's the actual Academy and the people in the Academy who are voting on their own members. So that's why it's the most revered award of all entertainment to win.
I'm not saying the MTV Awards mean something. I'm just saying that they're fun.
It's funner to watch. I will agree to that. If they do go ahead and do this next year and have, I don't even know if it'll be next year, probably the year after, and have these 2 awards, it won't be the first time. In their very first award show in 1928, at the very first Academy Awards, they gave 2 awards for Best Picture. They gave Best Picture of the Year, and then they gave what they called Best Artistic Film of the Year.
Oh.
The best film of that year was William Wellman's Wings. It was a high-flying aerial movie of the time. Very popular. And then they gave the Artistic Award to F.W. Murnau's Sunrise, which is probably considered to be one of the greatest silent films of all time. I love it. It is a masterpiece. I wonder if at the time of that year, if they almost were thinking the same thing. Oh, we gave the popular award, the best picture to the popular film everybody knows, but there's also this really great artistic film that we want to recognize too. And they gave it to Sunrise. They never did it again.
But then that sounds kind of backwards, right? From what they're thinking now.
Kind of.
Yeah.
You have to remember the very first Academy Awards ceremony was held at a luncheon with 30 people in a room, and it lasted an hour.
Yeah. Now that's just the monologue.
Right.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting. Maybe they should have had this all along, an artistic and a popular choice. I don't know. I'm not dead set against it. We'll see if it works or not.
I want to see how it's handled before I really weigh in, but I will say my initial reaction was this just seems like a publicity stunt. And I understand why.
Best Picture nominees every year from 5 to 8 to 10 to whatever to get more people. Yeah. They might try it for a few years, and if it doesn't work, they could
get rid of it.
If the ratings don't change. You got to remember, this wasn't the Academy who came up with this. This is all ABC saying we want bigger ratings.
Mm-hmm.
So... Okay, next news. interesting casting news. Gal Gadot is set to play Hedy Lamarr in an upcoming film. I don't know if you guys know who Hedy Lamarr is.
I know
she's
her
an
name.
actress.
A famous actress from Hollywood's golden age. I would say late 30s and 40s she was most famous. She broke through in this very racy film called Ecstasy. And then her first American film, Algiers, with Charles Boyer, is great. Anyways, she was always considered to be one of the most beautiful women in the world. Not a terrific actress in my mind, but she was never satisfied with being an actress. She had a part-time hobby, and she was actually a part-time inventor. So during World War II, she actually tried to help the Allies with some of her inventions, including what she had come up with, this what they called frequency hopping, this code to help make the Allies' code unbreakable, because the Germans were breaking the codes and getting all the information, so she wanted to help stop that. And so she patented it and gave it to the American military, and they never used it. But all of her inventions now are basically the cornerstone for Bluetooth, GPS, and all Wi-Fi technology.
Wow. So ahead of her time, you could say.
Totally ahead of her time, and not taken seriously.
You know, she was an actress or woman or both?
Just one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood and an actress. And I'm also an inventor. People just, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Doesn't fit into their little shoebox of what they think.
I just seen the story in PBS American Masters show a few weeks ago, and it was terrific. And,
that's fascinating.
I was like, as I watched it, I was like, this is going to make a great movie. Someone is going to make this into a movie. And I never thought Gal Gadot, but perfect. Perfect casting. Another somewhat beautiful woman, you could say.
Who can act?
Great career choice for her. I think she's going to kill it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I look forward to this.
Me too. And then I don't know if the whole Patrick Stewart reviving the role of Picard is on there.
I don't know that much about it.
They're developing a show centered on Jean-Luc Picard.
No cameo or nothing.
No, he is resurrected. He is the character, and it's going to be, they're developing a show around his character and what happened to him after the Next Generation and where life took him and whatnot.
We'll see if it's a go first before.
He's signed.
It's happening?
He announced it. He announced it like a week ago, week and a half ago. He announced it. He said it's something like he vowed never to return to this role because he didn't want to get typecast. And he actually said no to the project earlier in the year. And the more he thought about it, and the more he talked to these people, he goes, fuck it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, but he's got nothing to worry about being typecast. The guy's done so much since then.
He doesn't have to worry about it now. Sure. But when he was leaving TNG,
he's more typecast as Professor X.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I hadn't heard that.
So
there you go.
And in one tiny more piece of film news, just to make you chuckle, I don't know if you heard that the new film Christopher Robin has been pulled in China.
Oh, really?
Yeah, China has refused to release it. I don't know if you know why, but Chinese President Xi Jinping, that's his name, looks a lot like Winnie the Pooh. There's a lot of memes and stuff going around with him and Pooh's face and stuff, and China's trying to squash that completely. And because of that, they have refused to allow that film to be shown in China.
There's enough other shit going on there.
The kind of thing Trump would do.
Yeah. At least you would expect that in China, though.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Okay. Enough of that. Shall we move on to our feature review?
Strike the match and light the fuse.
I don't see why not.
There cannot be peace without first a great suffering. The greater the suffering, the greater the peace. The end you've always feared is coming. It's coming. And the blood will be on your hands.
I prayed to God that it wasn't true.
Solomon Lane escaped in Paris.
And now the world is at risk.
This is the CIA's mission. You use a scalpel. I prefer a hammer.
This is a bad idea.
Is it ever a good one? Honestly. He's not just some observer. He's an assassin.
I don't trust anybody outside of this room.
You go rogue, he's been authorized to hunt you down and kill you.
That's the job. No hard feelings.
Which way, Betty? Turn left! Go, 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 go! What are you waiting for? I'm jumping out a window! Oh, sorry. Good luck.
Mission Impossible Fallout was written and directed by Christopher McQuarrie. It stars Tom Cruise, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Ving Rhames, Angela Bassett, Alec Baldwin, and Henry Cavill. The plot: Ethan Hunt must once again assemble his IMF team to stop an international terrorist from doing something terrible.
Isn't that kind of every plot?
Yeah. We'll be discussing that. Okay, our first thoughts on the new Mission Impossible movie. What did you think, Paul?
Do you want a statement of kind of what we think of the franchise as a whole?
Yeah, sure. We may as well start with that.
Okay. I rewatched a few of these before the new one, knowing going in that Fallout was going to pick up right where Rogue Nation left off. And revisiting the first one, I still really like the first one. I actually didn't have time to rewatch all of them.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch 3, and I never watched number 2. Which I actually feel like I could revisit now because I think enough time has passed. Maybe I wouldn't hate it as much as I did at the time. Just not a John Woo fan, but I know at the time my issue with the first Mission Impossible movie, as much as I really enjoyed it, is Mission Impossible was supposed to be a team, and to me it was just kind of Tom Cruise is the American James Bond. Look at him, he's cool, whatever. But it was a great movie, and knowing that the franchise has moved on and actually built a team around him now, I can forgive that of the movie because whatever it was setting out to do, it achieved.
I think part of that first movie is trying to almost unsettle you by killing the whole team right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Kill everybody and then slowly start building afterwards, right?
And I think they did a great job of that, actually building up a new team around Ethan Hunt. And I did not enjoy 2, as I said, but number 3 got me back with J.J. Abrams, and I thought it was really clever. I love Ghost Protocol. I think that probably is my favorite of the series. And I really like Rogue Nation as well. So I have no problem revisiting these movies anytime. They're entertaining. They're not dumb. There's usually, a lot of really neat action sequences that are well worth seeing multiple times. I was really looking forward to this coming in, and it doesn't disappoint. It might not be my favorite Mission Impossible movie, but it lived up to everything I wanted it to. One thing I really noticed about this movie, which I thought was a pleasant surprise, was the camera work in it. Like when a van would roll over, you would roll around the van with the people in. The camera was centered, so you'd see everybody kind of rolling around the screen, and I just thought that was something really interesting. So they did a few really interesting things with the camera play in this that I really liked. Yeah, it was a strong cast. I liked everybody, even the new additions. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
All right.
So I did rewatch all of them before the new one.
Even number 2.
Yes, I rewatched number 2. I really liked the first one. I didn't have any of that issue. Second one, it was a huge disappointment because it was definitely it was the John Woo type movie. I like some of his movies, some I don't, and he kind of has his common staples throughout movies. And what I hate is the constant slow motion in some of these movies. Like if a character's just walking or turning their head, it's slow motion. Stupid birds flying.
Cue the doves.
Yeah.
Yes.
It did have some pretty awesome action sequences. Like the motorcycle race was pretty amazing, and I couldn't help but think how X-Men would have been different if this movie didn't go over shooting schedule. Because Doug Ray Scott, who played the villain, was supposed to be Wolverine. I'm not sure how many people know that.
Yeah, but that's the last great Doug Ray Scott movie you saw.
His career took a pretty big turn. And then 3 I really liked. 4 was great. 5 was awesome. And Fallout was pretty awesome in my opinion. I'm not sure how would I rate all of these, but I really liked Fallout. Amazing stunt sequences. And once you kind of look into the stuff that Tom Cruise did himself, it's just bonkers.
Actually, one other thing I meant to mention, and hearing you talk about them a little more in depth than I did, one thing I thought this movie did really well too was kind of pulled little things from the whole franchise a little bit here or there, whether it's a character or even a similar stunt sequence. It would pull that into this movie a little bit, just to jog your memory a little bit about, oh yeah, we saw them do that in number 2 or whatever. I thought they did a good job of that too.
Okay. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. And as far as the franchise goes, I think I'm on record on the podcast saying it's my favorite spy franchise in movie history. So I enjoy all of them, even number 2. You're right, Paul. Ghost Protocol, I think, is the best of the series, and Rogue Nation was such a great follow-up. I don't like this movie quite as much as those two, maybe as much as Rogue Nation. It's such a solid action movie. I'm not going to take anything away from this movie. I just thought, compared to the other films, I don't know if it has set pieces that thrill me as much as other movies have, but the cast is great. Henry Cavill is terrific in it.
Yeah, he was a really good addition.
We'll get into all the rest later, but I think if you like Mission Impossible movies, there's no way you're walking out of this movie disappointed. Okay, let's break it down a little more. Paul, what sequences are you talking about?
As far as like jogging your memory to previous ones?
Yeah, for me, if anything, this movie, one of its handicaps might be it was treading too much familiar material. You know, once again, the IMF team is on the outs and disavowed, and, you know, are they good guys? Or, you know, it seems every movie, just ones I want their government to be behind them, you know? That was one of the things I thought it maybe wasn't as fresh as I thought it could have been.
I can see that, much like, your synopsis. It's like, it's kind of the synopsis of all of them, but they wrap the package in such an entertaining manner that I don't mind that it's kind of a rinse and repeat somewhat. They change enough of it to keep it interesting. The sequence I was thinking of is just near the end, there's a spill over a cliff edge, and it just reminded me of the start of number 2, where you see Ethan Hunt climbing the cliffs at the beginning.
Yeah, we know he can climb.
Right. So it's just, and there was a really good motorcycle chase that kind of brought me back to the motorcycle chases that we had seen in a couple of the previous ones. So it's kind of like
number 2 again.
Number 2, but they also did that in Rogue Nation. There was enough there to go, kind of seeing his full repertoire of things that he's done. It doesn't always have to be a new trick that he's got up his sleeve. Yeah, I agree with you about,
the scene in Dubai from Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
With the building.
Yeah.
Nothing quite like that.
No.
Nothing as cool. I love that scene in Rogue Nation with the underwater tank.
Exactly.
Yeah. There wasn't anything quite as thrilling as either one of those.
This was more chase sequences
and really
than anything.
And tough. It's a
movie.
And some trivia for people. Tom Cruise really did climb that building. He was outside.
For Ghost Protocol,
Yeah, and then he had to learn how to hold his breath for 5 minutes for that underwater scene. And he also actually hung on the side of that plane when it took off, and that other one did a loop, came back down.
He broke his ankle doing the stunt in this one. And knowing what, I cringed knowing exactly what scene it was, too. Just kind of like, ugh.
Just to say flat out, Tom Cruise is this franchise, and he's
committed.
He is still so good.
Yeah.
He really is kind of ageless. I can't believe the stuff that he's doing, and it's still totally believable. Him in a fight. Yeah, Cruise is still the man.
Yeah, I agree. And I hope they make another one, and I can't wait to...
making another one,
Yeah, I can't wait to put my ass in the seat and watch it.
Well, I'll be there, and I'll be rewatching all of these again to get ready for it.
And Henry Cavill, that's why I thought you needed someone just as good to match Tom Cruise in this, and he brings it.
Oh, yeah.
Mustache and all.
To talk about that, you can't understand. It's a hell of a mustache. There's no shaving that and putting on a fake one.
No,
especially for the set pieces. That thing would have kept falling off his face, and
I guess we can't really get into this movie anymore without spoiling stuff. So be warned, spoilers coming. Spoilers. First off, maybe my favorite scene in the movie, and it's weird because it's not even an action scene, but I love the idea of finally using real-life news people in a movie creatively.
Yes.
The Wolf Blitzer appearance in this movie is pretty great.
Yeah. It had me hook, line, and sinker. I was like, holy shit, are they going here? I'm like, no. Yeah, that was a great sequence.
The build-up and the reveal.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I honestly, as I was like, oh shit, they really went that way, right? But then as the scene kind of went on, I was like, okay, they're doing something.
Yeah.
There's 2 moments with masks in this movie, and some of the other films I thought really overdid the masks, but this one, it only uses it twice, and both of them are very effective.
Yeah.
Well, what I liked was in Ghost Protocol, how Simon Pegg's character wanted to always wear a mask. Benji, I want a mask, and never works out. I just thought that was awesome in that one.
Yeah, he's really good in it too.
Yeah.
He's become a valuable member of the team.
His character was a great addition. He just adds that levity in the moments where you need to kind of break up the tension or the action. You just need that little bit of a chuckle. Simon Pegg's awesome. He does it great.
And Rebecca Ferguson is back. She's an interesting character. She works for MI6.
And she holds her own really well. I like the addition of her character, and you kind of never really know what to expect from her because you never really know, okay, what's her goal? What is she trying to do?
As a love interest.
No, there's some meat to that character, and she's she doesn't seem out of place at all.
She's operating in her own little movie, kind of.
Yeah, you probably do a movie just from her point of view to match this, right?
Yeah. Other scene I liked was that high altitude jump.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. You see a lot of parachute jumps in movies, but no, this one takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, it sure does.
And he did it like 100 times to film it. Tom Cruise actually did the jump.
That many times?
Yeah, apparently that's why he came out. So unless they're lying, but that
he might have just kept doing it because it was fun.
And he kept paying for it. Yeah.
I don't think I quite had it there. I don't want to go up again.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, like avoiding this movie, like the trailers and everything. It was kind of nice, so that way you're kind of always wondering about the different characters and motivations and who was going to be the bad guy, who was the good guy. So for me, it was really nice and refreshing because when I'm watching their interaction, kind of wondering, like, I found out afterwards that they actually did reveal who the villain was. Like, so I was really glad that I avoided it.
I had heard early on that Henry Cavill was the villain when there was that whole thing about the mustache, and it was actually phrased in a way of like, he's playing the Mission Impossible villain and he's not going to shave his mustache. So that is the one thing that I really wish I didn't know, because the whole movie I was really waiting for that reveal. But they do such a great job with characterization that even though I knew that, it didn't bother me, because I was like, it was good enough that I thought, well, maybe what I heard was wrong. Another thing that I really appreciate about what they do with these characters is that you see the absolute trust everybody has in Ethan Hunt and kind of the toll it takes on him a little bit too, right? Like they're like, Ethan will do it. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what? And that's probably one of the things I loved most about Ghost Protocol is it showed him the most fallible. He'd try a stunt and he'd hurt himself or whatever. And that's progressing through the series. They've done a really good job of showing the interaction of these characters progressing and just that absolute trust.
That really is the theme of the new movie, though, is that Ethan has the whole weight of the world on his shoulders all the time. Mm-hmm. And because of that, he can't have a normal family life. He can't have a normal life at all.
Yeah.
And he's made that choice. And it's a big theme of the movie, and it really works.
Yeah. I agree.
And I agree with you. And the whole fact that I love those interactions, that the whole when they're discussing all these crazy stunts and everybody's like, all you got to do is climb the building, go 10 floors this way, 5 up. And he's like, you better get going. We're on the clock. He's like seriously, that he does this crazy stunt. And it was the nice little touches, right?
The physicality in these movies comes across on the screen. It looks like people are getting hurt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially in that bathroom scene.
Oh, yeah.
That bathroom fight is pretty brutal.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
It's hard to imagine that some stunt people didn't get grazed.
Or, even the actors themselves, right? Because Henry Cavill's probably like, well, if Tom Cruise is going to do all of his stunts, I can't pussy out, right? He's Superman.
Yeah, that was a really good fight, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movie has lots of really good moments. Like, there's not a bad moment in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As action movies go, it doesn't get much better, except for maybe other Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, these don't disappoint. And that's why, because I do really enjoy all of the movies except for number 2, that I am willing to give it another shot. Just, it's been years. Maybe it's not as bad as I think it is.
It's not a bad movie. It's very John Woo. More than most directors, he really stamped his imprint on that movie.
Yeah.
I was going to say, since we're in spoiler territory, we can go back to your comments earlier where you said about the government keeps turning on them and stuff. And I got to say, in this one, I was kind of really, seriously, after everything the guy's done, you're going that route again. But then I thought it was really nice how Alec Baldwin was like, I believe in this guy 100%. You can tell me all this crap. I'm not going to believe it. Like, he is my guy. I thought that was really nice.
From the other movie in Rogue Nation with the British Prime Minister and everything.
Yeah.
If he hasn't, if he's not sold on Ethan yet by then.
Mm-hmm. I will say that scene with Henry Cavill in that tunnel, did not see coming. And I was so happy that I was caught off guard on that. I was like, yes.
Honestly, it only occurred to me because I knew going in that Henry Cavill was the bad guy. So I'm like, okay, well then this is going to be where they catch him. And this is going to be where Simon Pegg's character is finally wearing a mask. So
when I'm watching these movies, I'm always thinking anybody could be wearing a mask.
It's true.
So it did cross my mind that could be, but
it was a great reveal.
It was really good. Also, when we're talking about the villains, they have a repeat villain that comes back from the other movies, that Solomon Kane villain.
Yeah.
Sean Harris. And he does a really good job again. He's got a very sinister, old kind of British movie from the 50s or something.
Mm-hmm. And he was a worthy adversary worth bringing back because he was kind of the anti-Ethan Hunt. Mm-hmm. So kind of matched him wits-wise and strategy-wise and always seemed that one step ahead or half a step ahead or whatever. So yeah, I think it was great to see him back in the loop, even though maybe he wasn't as involved in the previous movie, but...
Mm-hmm. I like the fact that he might have like a rogues gallery of villains.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, that would be a pretty good plot in a future movie. Bunch of guys escape like a maximum security facility and they're all guys that he put away. Yeah. Team up or something.
Unfortunately, my favorite villain in the franchise was played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, so you can't bring
him. He was really good.
So good.
And they're already talking about the next one, I believe.
Yeah, and I think Tom Cruise is already pleading with McQuarrie to do the next one.
He's trying, but I think the guy's like, after this movie, he hasn't even thought of it yet. So he's just like, needs a break. And
well, it's nice to know there's that trust, and clearly what they're doing works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise is definitely a producer on this and is in control of this whole franchise, and it's his baby, and
yeah, but
very good care of it.
Yeah, and it's nice that this director actually has the power to where he can kind of be like, he can stand out to him, not like what happened on the Mummy set. I guess they were saying that he...
From what I know with Tom Cruise and McQuarrie, it's as collaborative as you can imagine. Yeah. Like, they're just like brothers on the set.
Yeah, why mess with what works, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you don't really need a new director on one of these every time. Not when they're putting out the last 3 movies in a row, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they were amazing ones, too.
You got it.
I did like the part, maybe going back, when he's doing that whole entire long run sequence, and he's in that building, the office,
right?
And Benji's like, come on, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? I'm getting ready to jump out of an office building. It's like, hang on.
Yeah, and Cruise still proves to be the best runner in movie history.
Apparently, they say the more he runs in the movie, the more money he makes.
That guy has done more great foot chases in movies than anyone in movie history, in my opinion. Going all the way back to some like The Firm.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fantastic one. Okay. I don't know if we need final thoughts right now. I think we're all pretty much on the same page with this movie.
No, definitely.
Yeah, we all really enjoyed it. Not our favorite Mission Impossible, but definitely worth seeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go check it out. And it's a theater experience out there, too.
Yes. I don't care how big your TV is. Mm-hmm. It's not the same.
Definitely. Shall we move on to our mini review of Isle of Dogs?
Well, let's do it.
I don't think I can stomach any more of this garbage.
Exactly. Same here. Words out of my mouth.
Nobody's giving up around here, and don't you forget it, ever. You're Rex. You're King. You're Duke. You're Boss. I'm Chief. We're a pack of scary, indestructible alpha dogs.
Atari Kobayashi, you heroically hijacked a junior turboprop XJ750 and flew it to the island because of your dog. Darn it. I've got a crush on you.
We get the idea. You were looking for your lost dog Spots. Does anybody know him?
No.
I've lost all of my pride.
Spots, if he's alive, may very well be living even at this moment as a captive prisoner.
Somebody is up to something. Will you help him? The little pilot.
Why should I?
Because he's a 12-year-old boy. Dogs love those.
We'll find him.
To the north, a long rickety causeway over a noxious sludge marsh leading to a radioactive landfill polluted by toxic chemical garbage. That's our destination.
Great.
Got it. Get ready to jump.
Isle of Dogs was written by Wes Anderson, Roman Coppola, Jason Schwartzman, and Kunichi Numera. It's directed by Anderson, and it stars the voice talents of Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Jeff Goldblum, Frances McDormand, Greta Gerwig, Harvey Keitel, F. Murray Abraham, Yoko Ono, Bill Murray, and many more. The IMDb plot. Set in Japan, a young boy named Atari, in search of his lost dog, ventures out to Trash Island, where due to a flu outbreak, all dogs have been permanently relocated to. Okay. Paul, what did you think of Isle of Dogs?
Well, I think we've stated previously on this podcast that this is one of the movies that both you and I were really looking forward to.
Yeah, talk about from earlier, a hit and miss movie in the theater. I think it was in theaters in Calgary for like a week.
I didn't even know it was in the theaters until it was out of the theaters, which is too bad because I didn't get a chance to see Fantastic Mr. Fox in the theaters, which is also his claymation, animation, stop motion, thank you. His foray into that, which I love that movie. This one, it's extremely charming. The voice cast you just mentioned, they're phenomenal. It's got a very fast-paced energy to it. It's very intelligent. I love certain things they do with subtitles in it, and that they don't have this Japanese boy just conveniently speaking English, that there's actually a translator, which I thought was kind of cute and clever. All in all, a very charming movie that I really liked, and that damn drumming song is going to be stuck in my head for eternity.
The drums in it are great.
Yeah.
But I love this too. I don't know if I liked it more than Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's very different. They have totally different feels to it.
Yeah.
Mr. Fox is trying to be almost a very kind of hip comedy and kind of a heist movie.
Yeah.
This one is more melancholic. Like all of Wes Anderson's movies have kind of a sad and dark spot to them inside.
Oh, there's definitely that, exactly, that dark undertone.
Yeah. I love Atari's journey. I love all the dogs, the voice work in it. Bryan Cranston, particularly,
he's phenomenal.
Is kind of the main protagonist dog in this, and he's really good. He's got this whole story about how he has to overcome his
astray,
right? His nature, and he's I bite.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that Wes Anderson does so great is he's just got these little moments or these little characterizations that are so memorable. And even thinking of the supporting cast, like Jeff Goldblum's dog, which I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Yeah, and he's just the gossip guy or the information guy, right? And it's just, every time he's in a scene, he's there so in character and so identifiable. Right. And it's
Edward Norton is the dog who wants to take control.
Yeah.
He just wants to, get things moving, and he's always, you're not in charge of us.
Even though maybe his idea was warranted, it's like, you're not in charge.
Right.
Yeah. It's really good.
And the crazy backstory of the Japanese mayor who hates dogs so much and loves cats.
Because he's a cat guy,
right, and introduced this whole dog flu into the world to get rid of dogs and move them to an island because he loves cats so much. And such a crazy plan. All of that was great. I love how the characters look, how the mayor looks, how Atari looks, and the dogs. It has
visually stunning, like so great. Yeah. Well, it's got that artistry, and we talked about it when we did Kubo, and you're right. Like there's that extra layer of, I don't know if it's love, but just attention and just knowing the skill it takes to make this thing go, that it's not
for background shots that you see for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And the amount of detail that they put into the shot and the frame, it's a blink and a miss shot.
And it could be 2 weeks worth of work.
Right.
No, it's got such a frenetic energy, and like this is a movie, and I even thought of it at the time that I'm really enjoying it, but I really think I'm missing something that I'm going to appreciate even more on a second watch, for sure.
Yeah, as frenetic as you say it is, it does have kind of a low-key quality to it as well.
Maybe I'm just hearing the drums, and that's what's making me feel it so frenetic.
There's such desperate characters, these dogs. So it's, like I said, melancholic. It has kind of a feel like that to me, almost like Tenenbaum's did. Anyway. And Life Aquatic does.
Which I still haven't seen.
Oh, God, you really should.
Yeah, I really should.
Oh, with Steve Zissou? Yeah, I saw that once. I don't really remember that well. I need to rewatch it.
Yeah, Bill Murray's, it's one of Anderson's most complex characters, the one he plays in that. After seeing this, I just think Wes Anderson can do anything. Go into any world and any culture and any kind of style. And, he's talking about doing a horror movie for real.
Really?
I know SNL did a skit years ago. Like, what if Wes Anderson did a horror movie and it was a joke? But I think he's been talking about it. And I think he could. I think he can do anything.
I do, too. I can't think of a single movie of his that I haven't thoroughly enjoyed. And this one, as much as I was anticipating it, it didn't disappoint at all. And he can do no wrong in my books. Like, I really look forward to the different qualities he brings to a movie that if you've seen his movies, you know kind of what to expect. And I always enjoy what he delivers. So
for a stop motion movie about dogs, I could see kids enjoying this too. Kids of a certain age, I guess, maybe about 10 or 12 and up.
Mm-hmm.
Kids love animals and stuff, and this movie really does get to the heart of why dogs and
humans get
along. They're, man's best friend.
Yeah,
the haiku that he has is hilarious. It's so I would recommend this to anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so that's 2 big raves for Isle of Dogs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, shall we move on to our rant and rave segment?
Let's do it.
Do you want to go, Ivan? You haven't talked for a bit.
Sure, I don't see why not. Well, I guess last time I did some rants, so maybe I'll do a 360 and continue that.
Nicely done. I almost corrected you, and then I thought about what you said.
No, I'm kidding. I'm going to do some raves. I want to talk about some good shit that I watched. So the first one, Cobra Kai. Have you heard of it?
It's the sequel to The Karate Kid, the new show on
YouTube Red. I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. So the story is, it's been 30-some years. Johnny Lawrence, who was the bully in the first one, is kind of a bum, dead-end job, divorced, kid doesn't want to talk to him. Daniel Russo's successful businessman, owns dealerships, well-off, happy family. And Johnny Lawrence decides to reopen Cobra Kai, see about getting his life back on track, teaching some kids. And Daniel Russo sees this, and he's kind of concerned about, he's going to teach kids to be like him. But the difference is that he's actually teaching kids that are being bullied now to defend themselves, but he's also kind of teaching them in the Cobra Kai way, where it's like super aggressive, the way he learned, right? Whereas, Dan Russo, it's like I was wondering like what are they going to do? Is Dan Russo going to grow up to be like kind of like a jerk and they're going to be like kind of switch it? But no, he's still like super nice guy. Everybody loves him, blah, blah, blah. And they kind of go into their back life, their family, and bringing them back in, set them against each other. So I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed those movies when I was a kid. I'm enjoying the show, and they have a little more depth. They've been using a lot of stock footage from those movies spiced into this one as well for like memories. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of nice to see that they're actually got that.
Pat Morita flashbacks?
Yeah, and Elizabeth Shue, but she's not in this though. I mean, they haven't said what happened. If they never ever, lasted long, they broke up at some point, who knows, but...
Didn't he get together with the Japanese girl in the second one?
See, I don't remember the second one as well. I've only rewatched the first one recently. Okay. The second one I saw way too long ago. Mm-hmm. You know what? I really like it. If you're a fan of those shows back in the day, give it a chance. It's kind of funny, they're trying to do karate now, but they're kind of older, so they don't have the mobility and everything. So, like when the guy's fighting, he's like does a spin kick. He's like, "Oh, I pulled his groin," because he doesn't have the mobility for a kick and stuff like that. So
this is like half-an-hour episodes.
Yeah, okay. Quick ones, and I think it's only 10 episodes for the season. So
Cobra Kai.
Okay. And my second one is going to be the new DC animated feature, The Death of Superman. So they did this earlier. They called it Superman Doomsday, where they completely changed the story around, and it was,
I really didn't like that. I thought the action sequences in Doomsday was really good, but the story and everything I thought was not good at all.
It was pretty weak.
Yeah.
This one it's kind of a bit closer to this original material, but also different at the same time in the way that this is set in the same universe that they've been kind of building last few movies with Justice League, Throne of Atlantis, War. They kind of had to change it. Like in this one, in those movies, Superman was dating Wonder Woman. In this one, they broke up. He started dating Lois. And they expanded the story to go into Clark being more like, does he want to tell Lois who he is? Does he not? And I mean, of course, they also have the Justice League in this one. So when Doomsday comes down, you see the League trying to fight him and they're kind of getting decimated. And Superman shows up. They did change the fight. Superman dies, obviously.
Yeah.
How he dies, I think you'll kind of notice what they were referring to in the change.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you'll see.
Batman versus Superman, maybe?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so in the comics, it was like they do that each one.
Simultaneous.
Like, This one's kind of the same thing. Whatever. It's a spoiler, but you knew he was dying anyways.
Yeah, it kind of spoils it in the title.
Yeah. And the fight scene I really liked, like the fights that went on between them and Doomsday, and especially when Superman and Doomsday go at it, when it gets pretty intense. And this is R-rated because there was a shit ton of blood and body parts flying around in this one. So, I definitely felt that this was more in line with the comic, even though they had to make changes because of the world they set it in. But I still really liked it, and I'm looking forward to Reign of the Superman because they're actually doing that.
Nice.
So they are bringing in all the different Superman, Eradicator, Cyborg. I believe that they changed the origin of Cyborg in this one. You'll see that as well.
Yeah.
Then John Henry Irons and then Superboy as well. It'll be interesting. I recommend it. I really like it. I lent it to you, so you'll check it out. I'm sure we'll be hearing your thoughts about it next time.
I'm looking forward to watching it for sure.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Cobra Kai and Death of Superman. 2 raves. Paul, you want to go?
I've got a few things to talk about.
Sure.
First up, I'm just going to close the loop on one of the movies that you and Darren talked about on our last podcast, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I had some time off and I made it a priority to go see this because you guys enjoyed it so much. And it was a movie that I was really looking forward to. I did not like this movie as much as you guys did, for sure. I enjoyed it. And I completely agree with most of what you guys said as far as the cast. There were things that worked and things that you could see they tried and didn't work so much. The chemistry between Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt is spot on in this movie. That's what brings you through this movie.
Than the last one.
Oh, for sure. And I didn't even mind it in the last one, but you can just tell there's that level of comfortability here, and it just plays off so much better. I just felt that they should have spent a lot more time on the island than they did, and I just felt that it kind of fell apart a little bit once they left. And I think there was some elements of it that I loved. Like, I loved that right off the bat, they were throwing you into a bit of a morality play of like, you know, what's happening with the dinosaurs and which side of this do you fall on. I thought there was a very kind of heartbreaking moment as they left the island. I'm like, oh, geez, like just tugs at your heartstrings. I understood, like you guys said, the whole monster in the house kind of element, but I don't know. For me, it just didn't play as well as I had hoped. It was enjoyable, and I'll definitely rewatch this movie, but it just didn't hit the heights I was hoping it to, and it was fine. We're all fine here. Everybody's fine. It's a radically different
second half. That's
it
for sure.
Really is.
And if you're not on board for the everything at the house, yeah, you might not enjoy it. I just thought all the contrivances in the third act that happened, you know, it's almost that Walking Dead thing of, you know, how can a zombie sneak up on you? How can a dinosaur sneak up on you, right? But, so they're cheating a lot.
Yeah.
But I just thought the sequences were so well directed and tense and suspenseful that it all worked.
I didn't really care for the new super dinosaur that they had.
No, me neither.
I was like, that just didn't play well for me.
They're always trying to invent a new dinosaur to get people to go see these movies for some reason. Dinosaurs are fine the way they are.
Exactly. They've been fine for the previous movies. Just leave well enough.
These are the only movies with dinosaurs in them. We don't need
robo dinosaurs next or whatever. And
a T-Rex is enough.
Yeah, exactly. And then the way they left the movie off, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but the way they left it off, I thought maybe wasn't expecting it. I can't even say why, but it just doesn't sit well with me, where I'm just kind of like, I don't know, a little underwhelmed, I guess.
With the choice that was made, or just with the way the film finished?
With the way the film finished, and kind of how that choice was forced upon them a little bit, I thought was...
I like that moment when they're all... Because I didn't even know which side I would go on, whether pushing that button or not.
So. Me neither, and I get it makes sense, but I just the way they left off, I thought, all right, so that happened. So
obviously another movie coming.
Well, clearly, yeah. So I didn't dislike this movie, but it's a movie that I was just really hoping to love and didn't get there, but that's okay too. I was entertained.
Maybe you'll like it more in a second watch.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. The next thing I have to talk about is actually a website and YouTube channel called Dust. And what it is, it's a website that they've got a curated collection of science fiction short films. And these films can range anywhere from like 5 minutes to half an hour. Some of them are directly produced for this YouTube channel / website. They range in different tones and subject matter. They can, like the first one I watched, had a very Battlestar Galactica feel to it. Mm-hmm. And then there was another one that had more of an Aliens feel to it. None of them are really related to the other, so it's almost independent science fiction movies kind of in a Black Mirror vein. And I've really enjoyed almost all the ones I've seen, and it's like anything. I mean, they've got probably in the range of 100 on here, and every week they release 1 or 2 more. So it'll take you a while to go through their library.
And is this amateur filmmaking, or?
Don't think there's been anybody of note that I've noticed as far as...
it's all professionally done.
Oh, it's all professionally done, professional. Like every now and again, you'll see an actor that you're like, oh, I've seen that guy before or whatever. So I haven't watched one yet that I thought, wow, this looks like something I could have made in my backyard. The CGI special effects are all finished and look really good. The sound editing on them is really good.
I like. We're saying that a super low budget film can't be good either.
No, really for sure. For sure. And we've talked about that before on the podcast about how independent filmmaking it's made leaps and bounds. And the thing I really like is like it's tonally different all the time. They've got some comedy in here. They've got some harsher ones that kind of make you sit and think of like a morality play, like, oh yeah, what do I think of this? And then they've got some that are maybe a little more action based. So they've really got a collection of different things. And yeah, if you've got 5 minutes and you don't know what you're going to watch, look up this website or, like I said, the YouTube channel and watch a 2 or 5 minute movie. Mm-hmm. It's really cool because on the website, they've got a blog that'll have interviews with people that either did the special effects or the directors or actors or with somebody that had something to do with it, or they'll have a debate on, well, what did you think of this? I've watched probably about 12 or 13 of them, and like I said, I've really enjoyed all of them. It's definitely worth checking out, and we'll supply the links on our channel.
That sounds good.
And then last but not least, another movie that I was looking forward to this year. Can't say that it's a rant, certainly not a rave. Pacific Rim Uprising. I finally got a chance to catch up with it. The story's set in the future where, you know, humanity is won, and now they're living in this world where they've won, but they've now got these huge robotech robots that are still patrolling the Pacific Rim just in case the beasties come back.
That portal opens again.
Exactly. Except this is kind of like the next generation of fighters, hence Uprising. And John Boyega's really good in it. The new cast is good. They have a couple of the supporting cast from the previous film come in. You can really tell that this is not, I almost said Benicio del Toro. Well, it's definitely not him.
It's a del Toro.
You can tell that it's in the hands of a lesser filmmaker because it just comes off like, I know it's a guilty pleasure for me. And even I thought it was just a little more dumb than the first one. And the best thing I can say about the first one is it's robots punching monsters. Right. What can you not like? And I found the first one enjoyable and somewhat charming. This one, it doesn't have near as much wit or anything as the first one. It's enjoyable. It still has robots punching monsters, which is fine, and it looks pretty, but it's just lacking something that the first one had. And if you hated the first one, you're going to think that's a big statement.
I would imagine, yeah. Yeah, I like the first one. I didn't love it. Del Toro is a visionary director, so I'm going to watch anything he does. But that's about as cornball as I can get with him.
Yeah, I found the first one really weak. You know, it was cool visually, like with the fights, but anything involving characters was just so cliche. It was just...
For sure.
And you see something like Shape of Water, and you know what he can do with character and how smart he is. And it's just like, was he even trying to do characters in that movie? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you said, he just wanted to see robots and monsters fight. And that's all that movie is.
Yeah. And like I said, the first one's a guilty pleasure of mine. And I agree, the characterizations aren't great. And some of the acting is very wooden and just not good and outright silly at times. And this is that to another level. So that's what I mean is like, you can tell, like taking a similar subject matter and putting it in the hands of somebody that maybe doesn't have that same level of love or skill.
Yeah, skill is a word.
Yeah. Not a rave, but not a rant. If you like the first one, check this one out. You'll probably be entertained, but I can't imagine you'd love it for sure.
Okay. So
it certainly didn't leave anything Uprising, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha. Just the two for you, Paul?
That was 3. Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, right.
Dust, the website and YouTube channel, and then Pacific Rim Uprising.
Okay. Forgot about Jurassic Park already.
I'm trying to.
It wasn't that bad. Okay, I got a few I'll just blow through here. I caught up with The Disaster Artist. That is James Franco's movie.
I've been wanting to see
I watch every movie about Hollywood insiders, and this is a really good one. But of course, you have to be familiar with what it's about. Tommy Wiseau is the name of the man, and his crazy movie is called The Room, which has been hailed as the worst movie of all time. Worst, greatest movie of all time. This mysterious man came out of nowhere and spent $6 million that nobody knows where he gets the money from to write, direct, and star in a vanity project that is so unbelievably bad. It defies comparison with just about anything. I love really good bad movies, and The Room qualifies, definitely. I've seen it a few times. And so I was excited when I heard about The Disaster Artist coming out. And yeah, it's really funny. It's James Franco does a great job as Tommy Wiseau. It's mostly about the friendship he has with this guy named Greg Sestero, who co-starred with him in The Room, and he's the guy who wrote the book, The Disaster Artist, which this film is based on. Basically, if you love Hollywood and you love backstage stories and you want to see the making of an incompetent film by an incompetent filmmaker, it's right up there with Ed Wood. I mean, this guy is just all passion and heart and no talent. It's something to see. Both The Room and The Disaster Artist, I would say, would make a great double bill.
Oh, wow.
I don't know which one to watch because you might not get through The Room, but you kind of have to know The Room a little bit to understand why the other one's so funny. I don't know. You might want to watch The Room, then The Disaster Artist, then The Room again. Try it that way. Okay, next film is Battle of the Sexes. This is directed by Valerie Faris and Jonathan Dayton from Little Miss Sunshine, and was written by Simon Beaufoy, who made his name with Slumdog Millionaire, Everest, 127 Hours, and The Full Monty. Give it credit for a writer for a change. And it stars Emma Stone, Steve Carell, Carell, Sarah Silverman, and Andrea Riseborough. This is, of course, about the famous true-life tennis match between Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King during the tumultuous women's liberation period of the 70s. You guys know anything about this movie?
I know the story behind it.
Yeah, that's about all I did. I knew the match. And I knew it was kind of a cause célèbre at the time for, women's lib. And the movie gets into basically what was going on before that. Bobby Riggs, played great by Steve Carell. It's a real supporting character in it. I didn't know that he had a match earlier with another tennis player, but this one was the big one that everybody paid attention to. And Emma Stone is terrific in it. So good. So much better than La La Land. She won the Oscar for. It's films like this and Birdman that remind me, how good she can really be. And she's fantastic. She sinks into the character of a woman. There's not too many movies, when you think about it, about female athletes.
That's true.
Especially true life female athletes. And so that's a nice change. So you see what she's going through being a woman, being a wife, and of course, a future lesbian, which is, of course, something that she wasn't at the time, maybe something bi-curious, you might say, but it explores that part of her relationship and the woman that she met. And that's a really sweet relationship that they have. Sarah Silverman plays her manager, who's trying to put all this whole match together and really bring awareness to women's rights and women athletes in general. And you think women are underpaid now. The 70s was a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So it's a great movie, just a document of its time, just to see, what this match was about and what the era was about. And a fantastic performance by Emma Stone. She's great.
Did they only cover the first match or did they go into the rematch as well?
Nope, just the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I recall, he started boasting that he could beat, because he was not ranked that high.
Well, Bobby Riggs was a former champion at the time. Yeah,
he was much older.
He was 55 and she was 29 when they played. But of course, he was the big male chauvinist pig, and he thought men can dominate a woman. So buffoonish in how he was acting. You can't believe you could get away with it. It's almost like Andy Kaufman in the Wrestling Girls. He's doing it for real. But he's not as much of a part of the movie as I thought it'd be. But it's really Emma Stone's movie, and she owns it.
I love her. She's great. So, I'm interested in this.
Okay, and my next film is a Best Picture nominee from last year I finally caught up with is Call Me By Your Name. It was written by James Ivory, who won the Oscar for his screenplay, and directed by Luca Guadagnino. I hope I have that right. Stars Timothée Chalamet, Armie Hammer, and Michael Stuhlbarg, who, for me, is the new Jesse Plemons. He is in everything these days, Michael Stuhlbarg, and he's great. I must have saw him in 5 or 6 things last year. So anyways, this is basically the story of a summer romance between a 17-year-old and an older man, set in northern Italy during the early 80s. I love this movie. It was great. It was beautiful to look at. The performances are fantastic. This Timothée Chalamet, holy smokes. Anytime a kid he was nominated for Best Actor for this. I hadn't seen the movie yet, so I was like, this 17-year-old kid, lead actor performance. It's pretty rare to nominate someone that young. And it's like, does he have the chops? Absolutely. Speaking of owning a movie, wow. And Armie Hammer is terrific in this too. I don't think I've ever seen him quite this good in other movies. He's from stuff like The Lone Ranger and stuff. He hasn't really been given a lot to do. He can act. He's really good. The romances, it's no Brokeback Mountain kind of tragedy going on. It's much more kind of a summer romance coming of age story, more like that. There's this French director named Eric Rohmer who specialized in films like this, like Chloe in the Afternoon and The Collector. His films are really smart, and these are about really smart, intelligent people. Chalamet's father, Michael Stuhlbarg, is an archaeologist, and his passion is digging up old relics and statues and works of art. He specializes in the Greco-Roman idea of the perfect man, and Armie Hammer comes on the scene looking like a golden god kind of thing. So there's that kind of comparison going on. And just in the look of the film, as a travelogue goes, you just, want to spend the summer there in Italy too, like he is. It looks gorgeous. Yeah, it's just a beautiful, well-told story. And I thought it was great. It would, if I ever get around to announcing my top films of last year, it could be on the list.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really good.
Good to know. I hadn't even heard of this movie before the Oscars, but the more I saw about it, the more interested I was in actually seeing it.
Is it on Netflix now, I think?
It's on Movie Central right now.
Okay. I thought I might have seen it in the list for Netflix, but
it could be.
I haven't really been...
If not, probably in the next few weeks, I would
say. Fairly shortly. Yeah, Florida Project, it didn't take long for that to hit Netflix, so...
So that was 3 raves for me. The Disaster Artist, Battle of the Sexes, and Call Me By Your Name. Check them all out.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're good to go?
Yeah.
That's it this time. Next time we'll be back to discuss something. This month has been a wash for
something.
me. Yeah, I didn't end up seeing The Meg. So that was the one movie I thought I was going to see this August.
You got, like, okay reviews, didn't it?
If you go see it, I'll go see it, and then we can review it.
Maybe I might.
What about A Quiet Place? That might be our next one.
Right. That's another one that we need to catch up on from a few months ago, like we did with Isle of Dogs. So we'll find something to talk about.
Are you going to go see Venom?
Only if the reviews are really Okay, let's wrap it up. Until then, please subscribe and give us a rating on our iTunes, Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if interested, you can always comment and search for our past reviews at our website, whyweseemovies@libsyn.com. Thank you for listening and take care out there.
Later. Ciao, ciao for now.
Adios.
Muchacho.